Bam, 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 banana. Hey now, what's that smell? Bam, down, down, down. Just like cornbread done too well. Bam, down, banana. What you see, you know I got. Bam, down. Well, heads up. Who wants to rock? Down.
See, you can't remember it all. That's the thing.
I got all the lyrics. That's
you
important.
Did. That is the important part. That was a CD that I actually sent away for one of my first ever credit card purchases after I got married.
Oh yeah, Jam Room,
the white CD. I don't know if you remember that or not, but it was I think it was self-published or whatever by River Road Records or River something. Mm-hmm. But anyway, yeah,
a river runs through it records.
Yes, that's what it was. It was a great movie.
Let the river run records. River runs red records.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, and I remember that, just listening to that CD and enjoying every little bit of it.
Yeah.
Yes, Jam Room. What a great CD. But
did you have your Jam Room in your basket of eggs?
My basket of eggs. Oh man, you should have just redone the whole falsetto that he does in that one song. Oh, what is it? Red Horse Rainbow? Is that the one where he's like singing falsetto?
Yes.
Oh, that's an opener for you.
I should have broken into Big Fat Pig.
That's a great song. That is a great song right there.
Speaking of big fat pigs, Cain Velasquez is fat.
He's a honey glazed donut. No, honey baked ham.
He's a honey baked ham and a honey glazed and a glazed donut. What I loved about your comment about that, by the way, was just like, Bailey starts making fun of Becky Lynch's tits, and I'm like, let's not body shame right after I've made fun of fat Cain Velasquez.
Yes. Well, you called yourself on that one, which was funny. You're like, after I just got done doing that. It was so funny because I had to rewind it just to hear Bailey say what he said. And then I don't know if he chimes in like immediately after that and go, oh, that's rude. But anyway, it was funny is what it was. It was hilarious.
I thought it was rather cheeky of me to refer to Becky Lynch's chest as melted ice cream. Yeah, her current outfit's not doing her any favors.
Yeah.
But you know what though? It's not a wet t-shirt contest. It's wrestling, so
that's right. It definitely wasn't a wet t-shirt contest down over there in Saudi Arabia.
No, it was not. It was so funny. I was actually telling my dad. Welcome to the Metal Hammer of Doom, everybody. If you're wondering what happened to the actual intro. I was doing some cleaning up on my computer, and I accidentally deleted Who Wants to Rock off of it, so Spreaker couldn't find the file, and I just haven't been able to fix it. So
it'll be back next week.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll put it back next week, or I'll think of something else to start the show with. But either way, we decided to just do it a cappella style. Hope you enjoyed it.
You did, finally, after I tried 3 times.
Yes, that was actually not the first take.
No, it was
not. Yes, we've just been discussing the Crown Jewel podcast, which is up in our archives. You can check out me and the 2 Rude Boys, Chris Bailey and Chris Sheehan. While we may have talked a little bit about wrestling, but we mostly did a lot of body shaming. In any case, what we're actually here to talk about tonight is As I Lay Dying, Shaped by Fire, which came out September 20th, 2019 on Nuclear Blast. It has 4 singles: My Own Grave, which was released June 8th, Redefined April 12th. These are all June 8th of 2018 was My Own Grave.
Yeah.
Redefined was April 12th, 2019. Shaped by Fire, August 9th, 2019, and Blinded was September 13th, 2019. And Jesse, which one did we do the Metal Hammer of Doom Extra on?
I was Shaped by Fire, I believe. where the kid catches on fire and then, well, hold my air punch, Mark Radulich.
Yes, Tim Lembesis made sure that we understood the importance of the air punch.
Oh, yes. Yes. Yeah, we did Shape by Fire, I'm fairly certain. There wasn't a whole lot to discuss that was going on in the video, but the YouTube comments kept it very entertaining on the Metal Hammer of Doom Extra.
That was so funny. Air exists.
I want to kill this motherfucker.
It was so good. But Shape by Fire is the 7th studio album by metalcore band As I Lay Dying. It's the first album in 7 years after the band went on hiatus while they waited for Tim Lembesis to get out of a 6-year prison sentence for soliciting the murder of his estranged wife.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that for a minute?
Yeah.
You know the details on this, so I'm going to just turn the conch shell over to you.
Well, I can't say that I'm the most well-versed on it. I'll probably have to refer to the wiki, but I can tell you that I believe it was 2013. We're looking at, that was when I think he was sentenced, and he pled guilty to attempting, my goodness.
Hire a hitman to kill his wife.
Yeah, he basically did. He paid somebody to try and kill his wife, and turns out that somebody was a undercover cop. So he made a boo-boo, ladies and gentlemen, at the very least. You can say he made a very big mistake.
As Jesse will tell you, you're not a real man if you haven't at least thought of killing your wife at least once.
Or twice.
Jesse will tell you that, as he's mentioned on podcasts before. Him and Chris Bailey had an extended conversation about, thinking about killing your wife. And everyone does it.
That's what it was. Okay. So, yeah. So Tim goes to jail. This is 2013.
But you don't do it, is my point. You certainly don't hire a hitman. I mean, look, here are the rules. If you're going to kill your wife, which you should not do, never get somebody to do something you can do yourself. That's my point.
Oh, yeah. And if you want something done well.
And done right.
That's right. So, February 25th, 2014, Lembesis changed his plea from not guilty to guilty. So he changed it at that point. He goes in, serves 6 years, sentenced to 6 years in prison on May 16, 2014. He is released in 2016 after 2 years in prison. Oh, wait a second. Excuse me. I think he was in there for 3 years. He was released on parole December 17, 2016. And now, who was it that he... trying to look for what his wife's name was at the time. His estranged wife, Megan Murphy, was her name. So 2016, he is released on parole. Now, we have a band that I really, really loved falling apart because the lead singer had done
fucked up.
He did one of, you talk to a lot of people now, it has divided a fan base. People do not feel like they should forgive what Tim had done, and that's understandable. I watched a review today. I think it was Cover Killer Nation on YouTube, and it was interesting because a lot of people, when they review this album and the fact that they're back and they're performing together, it feels like people don't want to completely embrace their existence. It's like they kind of want to handle it with kids clubs, and that's understandable because of the circumstances. But Cover Killer. I
think people don't want to be seen as validating his choice.
Okay.
But here, I'm gonna make a brief statement on my soapbox, and then I'm gonna dive off of it onto my head.
Oh, okay.
And here's the thing. The penal system is there to punish people who have done bad things and been convicted of bad things, and he admitted that he did this. By the time he was convicted, he admitted, he pled guilty. He admitted that he did this. He owned up for it. He did his time. And I'm not saying that what he did was good or that people should like him. I will say this, at some point, if we don't forgive the people who have served their time, served their penance for the things that they've done, then why bother with the penal system at all? Why not just kill them? Why not just execute these people? Like, there comes a point where either you forgive people and allow them to rejoin society. Hopefully they won't do anything stupid again. Hopefully, they'll continue to make amends. There are plenty of people who've gone to prison and come out and contributed positively to life, to society. At some point, I think you have to just, you don't have to totally forgive him for what he did. But I think as fans, I think as people, as a society, holding a grudge against him and saying, we will never forgive you, we will never let you forget. It's like, well, then what was the point of this exercise? Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So when I had learned, this album took me by surprise because as I said on the extra, from what I thought was happening, I thought they were just releasing single after single. I thought it bold of them to. I thought As I Lay Dying was done. I was like, I can't see them ever like coming back. They had went into, I think, Woven War. I don't know if you remember that album at one or that band, which was former members of this band coming together and trying to put something out there, at least keep the creative process going. But when I found out that As I Lay Dying was dropping that single last year, I was like, oh my goodness, okay, so they're going to kind of give it a shot. And it didn't surprise me that it was just a single, because I think that they were most likely testing the waters to find out, okay, what's the reception going to be like? Mm-hmm. I could just imagine what the first concert for Tim would have been after being released and after this band had got together. He was probably, extremely worried about how things were going to be received. Is somebody going to jump the stage, kick his ass, or try to?
Jerry Lee Lewis banged his teenage cousin and then married her. Mm-hmm. And for a long time, as they should have, people held that against him. But I think eventually people kind of just they got over it. Jerry Lee Lewis moved on. His wife moved on. I think people in time moved on, and he continued to play music at some point.
Yeah, but this is a big thing. This is somebody conspiring to commit.
I'm not
murder.
Minimizing it. No, don't get me wrong. I'm not minimizing it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say it's a bit different than. I mean, I don't know. Both are kind of disgusting, obviously, but
sure.
This is one guy attempting to end a life. The other one is, Jerry Lee Lewis is going to say that he loved his cousin rather a lot. So I don't think he was conspiring to kill her.
Quite a bit. Not at that time. I guess having worked with the population that I do, mm-hmm. Like I said before, served his time.
Yeah.
Maybe he should have served longer. I'm not going to argue one way or the other, but should he never be able to perform again? Should people discount the music that comes from this band because of a bad decision that he made, which we don't know what the other circumstances were? We really don't. We don't know why he did what he did.
Well, let's get into the album here, and we'll continue, because I think that this discussion definitely needs to keep going. Mm-hmm. But, this album, the good thing about this album is that it just doesn't sweep it under a rug. Mm-hmm. The lyrics in this album address everything.
Why did you want to talk about this? Because this wasn't originally on the schedule, but you told me that you listened to it when it first came out, and we're like, we really need to talk about this. And I think I've made my position clear. I think at some point you need to forgive people, even when they've done something terrible. I'm not, and I think you agree, but I'm not really sure. Either way,
I agree with you. I do.
So, what was the reason you wanted to talk about this album?
Well, number one, it's a band that I really liked. I've liked them since, I think it was 2000. oh my goodness, I want to say 2007's An Ocean Between Us. It was the first album that I had a chance to listen to. And I really dug them at that point. They release, I don't know if I remember listening to too much of This Is Who We Are, but I know The Powerless Rise and also Awakened, which was the last album prior to this one, were some really kick-ass albums. And this is a band that when they put an album together that I really enjoyed, there is nothing that I can find wrong with some of the stuff that they put on there. And I really do think that the circumstances that are around this band coming back together and putting an album out, it's going to be an interesting conversation because what do we have on the schedule? Is KMFDM?
Doing it
right?
again. A treat for the freaks. Truth or dare.
Yeah. So we had them on the schedule, but we didn't have this controversy, this type of discussion that would loom with KMFDM.
No, the only controversy with that was I played it in front of my kids, not realizing that the first song was going to be "Kill Motherfucker."
Oh yeah, we might have a problem.
Even my daughter was like, "All right, enough. This isn't appropriate for children." You're not wrong.
It's not good when the kids do the parenting there. But yeah, so that was the main reason, because when I found out that they were doing an album, number one, I wanted to find out how good it was. Number two, I wanted to see how and if they were going to address what happened, or if they were going to just, go on like nothing ever occurred. And it's, 7 years, dude. 7 years since that last album. Are they going to be a return to form? Are they going to be trash? How are they going to function? So there was a lot of conversation I could see us having with what happened. And then after I listened to the first two songs, I was like, okay, this is what I want to hear from this band at this time after this event. So yeah, and to discuss it with you, man, I think we'll have a fun one tonight.
All right. Well, we're going to cut the first song right off because it's just, ambient noise and Pip farting on a snare drum or whatever. So let's go right to track 2. This is Blinded. All right. Once you get to this song, this album goes right into hyperdrive.
Oh, yeah.
Good stuff. I'm actually, that first one reminded me how much I love Austrian Death Machine.
Oh, boy. I'm hoping that, what would it be, 4? The last one was Total Brutal or something 3, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. So Triple Brutal is what it was. So we need a quadruple brutal at some point. But yeah, I do miss Austrian Death Machine. But yeah, we get into our first track proper, and it's kick ass. It is a great song to start things off, and it is absolutely addressing some of the emotion and some of the stuff that he was going through. For example, well, I mean, the song's called Blinded, all right? So your chorus is, have you ever been blinded by the pain, losing yourself inside the heartache? And does that mean we cannot change, or will we always be seen that way?
That's a lot of what we just talked about.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, this guy, Tim, put a lot of a lot of what he was going through in these songs and what he believes he's going to be perceived as for the rest of his life.
Sure. I guarantee you there are people who heard our opening conversation and were like, I'm never forgiving this guy, and you guys are assholes for talking about this. I own that. Like if I'm not willing to go through my life not forgiving people. I think carrying grudges poisons your heart. I really do. Like, and I'm not particularly Christian. You know, I celebrate Christian holidays that have been Americanized, but I don't really practice a religion, though I think there are important elements of Judeo-Christian tradition, and one of the big tenets of that is forgiveness.
Exactly.
But there are some people who are like, no, never again, never. Tim Lambesis is the devil, and would never, and anyone that's associated with him sucks too. It's like, okay, it's a hell of a way to go through life.
So, you put yourself in Tim Lambesis' shoes. Say that 3 times fast. And you're in his shoes. You've done what you've done, and you've been released. And now you have a choice you have to make. Okay, do I get back together with my band? You know, how am I going to show people that I'm changed? And that is not an easy thing to do. I do not think for 1 minute that Tim has come back into the music world, and on, you know, as of November 6, 9:53 p.m. on the Eastern Coast, he's thinking, I've done my job. I'm back in everybody's graces. He understands that this is going to be something that is carried with him throughout his life and seen. And we're going to, I mean, I'm going to bring up more examples of lyrics that says exactly just that.
Have As I Lay Dying been the victim of cancel culture?
Explain cancel culture. I know that's a buzz term, and you've done it before, so do it again.
So Mark Radulich called Cain Velasquez a honey-baked ham.
He did.
Okay. And people say, boycott the Radulich and Broadcasting Network. Mark Radulich hates Mexicans and ham. That's cancel culture.
So we need them wiped off the map.
Yeah. You know, Kevin Hart made a gay joke 100 years ago. He can't host the Oscars.
I don't think that they have.
Really?
Well, I mean, I don't think so. I mean, like I said, I think it's divided a fan base. But that doesn't mean that there are no fans. There isn't people protesting this guy's, as far as I know. Now, granted, maybe there is, but I have not seen anybody say, yeah, we've had to deal with protesters outside of our last concert.
Well, isn't that funny that we're living in a world where comedians make a joke and it's like, that's it. No more stand-up shows for you. Boycott this show. Boycott Netflix because of Dave Chappelle. I thought about murdering my wife and went as far as hiring a guy to do it. I don't really like your music, but I'm not going to say, but no protest needed here.
One of the things that you mentioned, and this was years ago, and it might have been you quoting something from Spotify. I think it was Spotify. But metal fans are of some of the most loyal fans that are out there. So I think that you have a lot of As I Lay Dying fans, and sure, there's probably, like I said, dividing a fan base. That sounds pretty extreme. I don't think half of them went and said, I'm done, and the other half said, I'm staying with them. I think a good portion of people were like, my gosh, this guy's an idiot. How could he do something like that? They give this album a listen to, and it's not like the content of their songs have changed a whole lot either. This album is going to be a lot of focus on Tim and not just Tim. He's using himself to kind of show, Tim's not the only guy that's done something stupid, really fucking regretted it, and wanted to tell people that he's fucking sorry. Mm-hmm. So I think he's taken up that flag and said, okay, I've done stupid things. Other people have done stupid things. And this is my way of kind of working through that. A word that I saw in one of the reviews was a catharsis. This is obviously him trying to work through what he did, what he's got ahead of him. So as for cancel culture, I don't think people are protesting this guy. You probably get on the internet, you're going to see some people saying, I can remember it was our good friend Josh Calandris. I posted something about As I Lay Dying, and immediately it was like, is this the dude that tried to have his wife killed? And that's the only thing that this fucker is going to be known by for a very long time. It's not going to be As I Lay Dying. It's going to be Tim Lambesis and what he did. So I don't think that a lot of people are going to write him off, but there are definitely going to be some that have said, I'm not going to do this because of I'm not going to listen to this. I'm not going to give this guy a chance because of what he's done. I wanted to just real quick, and then we'll get into the next song. Actually, let's go ahead. We'll get into the next song, and then I'll kind of bring this up.
Okay. The next one is Shaped by Fire, this title track. All right. Let me just real quick say about that song. I really liked it. I actually, I don't always love Tim Lambesis' clean vocals, but I actually like the pitch he hit on the clean parts there. So another strong track by As I Lay Dying.
Yeah, I know that I've said on here, I don't know how many times now. I'm working on 20. You know that some of my favorite bands have clean and harsh in them. Mm-hmm. This is top 5 bands for me that have clean and harsh vocals. I really love the way that they use that dynamic throughout their songs, and it's in just about every song. I don't know if they ever have or if they have any songs that are just like either straight clean or straight harsh. And it's a kick-ass song following up Blinded. I mean, I have no complaints. I wanted to bring up about how I stumbled upon a video on YouTube, and it is by a website called Heart Support. Okay, so if you go to heartsupport.com, I'll read the first paragraph here. It says, real-time support when you need it. Around us, the mental health crisis rages with the average high school kid today having the same level of anxiety as the average psychiatric patient in the early 1950s. With an increasingly digital and connected world, many don't have the resources necessary to face adversity and grow stronger. We know the need is there, and we want our friends, family, and loved ones to take courageous steps. But where can they turn? That's where we step in. All right. So Heart Support put out it's a little bit more than 15 minutes. It's a 15-minute video featuring As I Lay Dying. Came out about 5 months ago, and it's titled "The Story of Tim Lambesis and As I Lay Dying," and it is a very interesting. It almost, I don't want to say feels kind of hokey because they got some weird ambient noise in the background that makes it feel almost like a commercial, but it's not. Because it's a very serious discussion it starts with Tim, and then it goes through all the band members, and it revolves around what Tim did and how it almost destroyed the band. Well, how it affected the band. Specifically, some of the band members just got really angry. They got really angry. Some of them stopped talking to each other, and then they kind of worked through it. And then Tim got released, and they even talk about in that 15-minute video about Tim trying to reach out to them, and they're is reticence a word where they're just kind of like they kind of stand back, and they don't want to start engaging with Tim, because when this all went down, Tim wasn't a very good guy, and he'll tell you that he was not a very good guy. He was not. The band will say that he was not the Tim that they knew. Mm-hmm. Things were changing, and he was very self-concerned initially. Then when he got released, Tim talks about how he really was trying to show the band members that he was genuinely sorry about what had happened. And it was almost like these guys didn't know how to take it. They wanted to see actions before they believed his words. Well, the Heart Support video talks about how, there are times that people are going through a lot of shit, and there's got to be somebody to reach out to, and that's what Heart Support's about. But I would highly suggest, if anybody would like to see and hear a real intricate discussion about the healing process that this band had went through, check out that Heart Support video on YouTube. It's called Misery Evolving, and it was really interesting just to see how things had happened. Can't tie that in with this song very well, but Shaped by Fire did kick some ass, but I wanted to definitely give that a shout out before we move on.
Okay. Let's move on to the next one. This is track 4. This is Undertow. All right. That's another one that kicked ass.
You know what I like about As I Lay Dying? They really do have a lot of songs that speak to the human condition. Mm-hmm. If you go back to, like, Awakened, No Lungs to Breathe, Whispering Silence, there are My Only Home. Almost every song, and you can call them emo if you want, which I think I've heard them described as that at one point. But almost every song talks about like humans just trying to kind of overcome something, or humanity just dealing with some shit, a person dealing with some, with a tough time. Undertow is, if you look at the lyrics of that, it's very much a representation of that type of song. I can't escape the undertow that's pulling me, but I keep fighting to get away. The undertow that's pulling me. It's a song that very personal. It looks like the word I is used, I don't know, at least 15, 20 times throughout that song. But that's one thing I like about their music, is they don't have a problem getting personal sometimes.
Do me a favor.
All right.
I'm going to play the next one, Torn Between, but while I'm doing that, see if I'm really curious about this. See if there's been any chatter about, boycott their shows or whatever. Or,
sure. I'll look it up.
If the Dave Chappelle stuff made national news, Kevin Hart stuff made national news. I don't know if the As I Lay Dying stuff ever did, outside of what the initial charge is. So I'm just curious to see if any sort of cancel culture stuff rose to national
I've got 3 articles ready to go right now.
Alrighty.
You play that next song, we'll get right into it.
All right, here we go. This is Torn Between. Sacrifice. Sorry, the lick there kind of reminded me of "Policy of Truth" by Depeche Mode.
That
On
song.
your policy of truth, never again is what you swore the time before.
Beautiful.
Come on, sing it, Jesse.
Yeah, I don't know that song. Most likely I do. Don't get your fucking panties in a wad.
So funny. Like, I immediately started to just key up. You've never, and you just fucking speared me like fucking Goldberg. You're like, nope. Shut up, Radulich. Hit your fat face.
That's funny. That song that was Torn Between. I really, really like that song. It reminds me, it's been 7 years, okay? I just want As I Lay Dying back to what they were. That's really all I could hope for with this album. I think I got it. But there are some points where I'm just like, boy, that sounds an awful lot like one of the songs that they've done 7 years ago. Like the whole slow kind of start to it, and maybe even a little bit before that.
I would say the harsh vocals on this one seemed a bit strained.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the positive about that song for me is, again, there's a lick in there that kind of reminds me of Policy of Truth by Depeche Mode. So that was kind of fun for me. I don't even think they knowingly did that. And it might just be, I picked out something.
You got an ear.
But I don't think there's anyone in the band going, you know what we need to do? You know that hook from Policy of Truth? Yeah. We need to write a song around that. Yeah. Insect. So that's a throw. That's a shout out to my son, by the way.
Jonas, stop listening to your dad. All right,
Wait.
on the podcast. You better be 18 now.
Did I ever tell you that he the why did the bug go in the house joke?
Nope, not that one.
Oh yeah, this is one of my son wrote this joke.
Let's hear it.
Why did the bug go in the house?
Why did the bug go in the house?
'Cause he's an insect. Huh?
Oh.
Huh?
That's a good one.
The best part about my son doing jokes like that is his delivery.
Okay, good.
Like, he's so not flat about it. Like, he that's the way he tells it too. Like, he just gets like, 'cause he's an insect. Get it? So good.
Good.
The kid already, at 5 years old, already has better comic timing than anybody else I know.
He's learned from the best, damn it.
Yes, he has. So anyway, I'm totally lost in what we were talking about now. Go on.
Oh, do you want to hear some? Do you want to hear some articles?
Yes, please.
Boycott it. All right, here we go. So June 7th, 2018, metalsucks.net.
Okay.
This is the title. This is the final time you will read about As I Lay Dying on Metal Sucks.
Ooh.
All right. Imagine if 4 or 5 years from now, after serving time in prison for rape and sexual assault, Harvey Weinstein tried to come back and make a new film.
Oh, it's gonna happen. So,
or if Bill Cosby started touring the stand-up circuit again.
well, he'll be dead. But
hell, imagine that just a few years from now, Donald Trump and NBC were to revive The Apprentice.
well, that's well. He's in his. Hang on, he's in his 70s, and he's got another 4 years to go because he's going to get reelected.
Yep. So
sorry,
I've heard.
Sorry,
so I've
heard.
Sorry. So I have heard.
So, I mean, he's going to be probably close to 80 when he gets out of the Oval Office. I can't imagine he's going to be up for another reality series.
Although these examples are hypothetical, the issue they raise is one every metal fan actually has to confront immediately. Because thus far, the metal community's reaction to what appears to be a reunion of all or most of As I Lay Dying's classic lineup has sent a horrible message to the world at large. Breakdowns are greater than human lives.
Wow. Virtue signal much metal sucks?
Wow. Yeah, and I mean, they go on to list, like, I don't know, 20 tweets here of people being, just ecstatic that the new single dropped. That's not helping your case. I would figure you'd want to post, like, people really upset.
I talked about this with the Terminator movie, and there is a parallel here. Women, I think, by and large, don't go see action movies. Like, they go if their boyfriends take them. Some of the Marvel movies, I think women go to because, that's just become a big thing in American culture. But I think, by and large, women of their own volition don't go to action movies. Mm-hmm. But they certainly aren't into, by and large, because I know there will be some girl in her Mayhem t-shirt, and her Fangoria fucking subscription that's like, oh, I like Terminator. All right, not you, toots. Calm the fuck down. But generally speaking, your wife, my wife, the vast majority of women don't go to action movies and aren't fans of the Terminator franchise. And yet, Hollywood, in the particular case of James Cameron and Tim Miller, went overboard and out of their way to load up the new Terminator movie with strong female leads that were poorly written for the most part, in the hopes that, one, there was virtue signaling going on. Like, look how progressive we are. See, we're all about the women. And as I said on the show, patronizing women is not real feminism. It's just patronizing. Mm-hmm. But the other side of that is, you're going out of your way to put strong female leads in the hopes that more women will come out and see this in a genre that isn't really for them. And when I say for them, like, they don't go in large numbers. It's the same thing with metal. Yes, there are shit tons of female metal fans. I'm not saying there aren't. But I think, again, guys tend to be more attracted to metal than girls. I think if you sort of just count up the amount of male metal fans versus female fans, it's like at the very least 2 to 1.
Yeah, you go to a concert. I can remember I've gone to plenty of metal concerts. I say plenty. I've been to a couple.
You've been to like 2 since I've known you.
I've been to a couple, but I mean, yeah, count how many ladies are there versus how many. Now, maybe it changes with the artist. Let's go watch our good friend. Oh my goodness, what
Steel
was her
Panther?
name? No, there you go. Ladies are lining up, and maybe it is the genre itself too. I mean, there's plenty of ladies that go watch a Motley Crue concert, I'm sure. But that's a different style of what we're talking about here for sure.
So, And I don't even think it's a gender thing. I think I got a little off track with that. But, you have Metal Sucks, which is clearly virtue signaling. They're like, look, trying to murder your wife is bad. Everyone should condemn them. But I think the vast majority of metal fans are like, it's shit happens. It's fine. It's about the music. It's not about the individual deeds. I mean, people are still listening to Mayhem. They burnt in Burzum. They burnt fucking churches and murdered people, as we talked about.
February 6th.
Do you understand what I'm saying, though?
Yeah.
I don't think it. Weirdly enough, I don't think Metal Sucks, the website, is actually speaking to metal fans. I feel like that's where I was going with this. I feel like that's a message meant for, in the hopes of getting the attention of the greater population and getting attention and saying, look how virtuous we are. And it's like, okay, but you now utterly ignored your actual fan base. Well, thus the parallel with Terminator.
I understand that they may have a position that they believe in, though, as well. I mean, they probably believe with their heart.
How awfully uncynical of you.
I think that they're just like, look, we don't support what this guy did. We are not going to talk about him on here. When you guys go to look for As I Lay Dying and you put in Metal Sucks in the Google search along with it, this is probably the last article that's ever going to show up. We're never covering them again, and now you know. So I think they owe their fans or their readers at least an explanation as to why they haven't reviewed the most recent As I Lay Dying album, because people are going to wonder, hey, what's up? They should have the opportunity to come out and say, we're not doing it anymore. But they could just come out and say that. They don't have to say, look at the stupid people who are rejoicing in the fact that they released something.
Right.
Because this was right after that single got released in 2018.
You're right. They could have easily just said, hey, the position of this website is murder is wrong, attempted murder is wrong, and we're not going to continue to support this band. What the rest of you do is your own fucking problem.
Yeah. I've got another article here. If you want to play the next song, we'll talk about this next one.
Okay. I think that's a good way to keep it moving on. Speaking of virtue signaling, this next one's called Gatekeeper. I'll be curious to see if, of all the things that we've done on here and said, hey, give us feedback. And, occasionally on our YouTube, on my YouTube page, occasionally somebody writes in, I think the last comment we got was about the Hell Yeah review. I'll be curious to see if people weigh in on this one way or the other.
We'd love to hear from you. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people that feel a way. They feel a way about this.
Yeah, I know. I mean, and look, I'm really not the type to curse back at people. I mean, I curse a lot on this show, but that's kind of our thing. I actually told my dad about that today. We were talking about, Robert and I were talking about on the Terminator podcast, or before it, like neither one of us could run for office at this point. There's too much tape.
Yep.
We were canceled right out. But that's okay. I don't really want to do that anyway. But anyway, in any case, I shared some of my more choice comments of late. The burning earth is like a 10-minute hand job. Cain Velasquez, Honey Baked Ham. Every time Roman Reigns cocks his hand, I think someone should come in his eye. The hits.
The hits. They keep on happening.
And it's like you either, come here to hear that because you think it's funny too. You think I'm funny. You think we have interesting opinions on here, or you listen to it because you think we're a bunch of douchebags. You just want to hear what crazy shit we're going to say next. Or you don't listen at all. In any case, you're not hearing what I'm about to say.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for people who do leave comments on YouTube, and this includes all the people that were like, "You're racist for making fun of Baby Metal's accent one time." I don't. I read them. Sometimes I give them. At best, I'm giving it a thumbs up. If the one time I think I did engage with somebody, they were like, "Why didn't you play the whole Ministry track?" And I'm like, "Well, because lawsuits. That's why."
Yeah, we shun big government, but damn it, we don't want to get sued.
Yeah. So that's my only point. Like, if people listen to this and they were like, "You touched a nerve with this one more so than any of the other dumb shit you've said," I'm willing to hear those comments, and I'm willing to accept whatever comments are made, whatever opinions are made, without necessarily getting into a debate or taking it personally. I mean, if you get on the YouTube and you say, "I hate you, you're a fucktard," for your opinions, I'm really not going to say anything back. I'm like, well, it's the free world, baby.
Yeah. The circumstances surrounding this album, its release, and all the stuff that's happened before really are, I think, some of the most interesting subjects that I think I've ever had to try and broach when talking a metal album. This is coming up. I've told, and I don't go around people at work or here at the house telling people who I'm going to be talking about. Hey, I'm going to be talking about Steel Panther. I'm going to be talking about Whitesnake. Every once in a while I'll make a little bit of a plug, but I have never talked to somebody and asked them as much as I did about this album and what happened. So I've asked my wife, look, this is what we're going to be discussing. Now, granted, she didn't get into it with me about what was happening with the guy and people at work. I've told them.
Does she listen to metal? Does Mindy listen to metal?
No, I mean she wouldn't. I would make her listen to some stuff every once in a while, but she
sure.
But I would tell people, hey, just like we told Bailey, we're going to be talking about a band where the lead singer, attempted to have his wife killed, and they've come back. What are your thoughts about this? I mean, is this something where does the art of the song exceed what the artist has done? And that is a great conversational piece. So if somebody can actually, if somebody wants to discuss it with some modicum of self-restraint and not just completely go off and call somebody who's supporting them, an educational discussion, or at least a civic discussion is probably the best way to put it.
Civil, you mean?
Civic Center, right down here, and yeah, I agree.
Just the final point on that. I think for the most part, I'm willing to just read people's comments, and if I like what you have to say, I'll thumbs up it. But I'm probably not gonna write anything back. If people want me to respond, I think make that clear. Like, I want to hear your opinion on whatever. If people want to engage in a conversation about this, I'm willing to entertain those either through Twitter, which I really think is a shitty medium for a debate or a conversation.
Oh no, man, it's completely abused for just people who want to start arguments. It's stupid.
Well, not only that, but just as an aside, I guess an argument broke out between Joey Janela and Brian Last. You have no idea who either of those people are, do you?
I know who Joey Janela is. I mean,
okay.
He falls quite often.
Yeah, yes, on his head. Brian Last has his own series of podcasts. He has one with John Arezzi. as he calls it, the mothership is the 605 podcast, which it's all wrestling related stuff. But he's been friends with Jim Cornette for a zillion years apparently, and he used to work in the music industry, so he's got some inside baseball going on. He's also a big baseball fan. In any case, he's known mostly as Jim Cornette's co-host for the experience, and he reads the questions on the drive-thru. And him and Joey Janela got into some bullshit argument on Twitter where, like, Joey Janela's like, I want to fight you, and Brian Last was like, okay. And I guess they had an easier time arguing with each other because, you know, their accounts will alert them when someone, you know, when people respond to whatever it was you said. But as somebody trying to follow it, I couldn't make heads or tails out of what the hell they were arguing about. I'm like, wait, what? What order does this go in?
Yes, it's horrible.
So that's what I mean when I say like Twitter's a shit medium to have a debate. It's a great medium for girls looking for attention or trying to sell nudes. You know,
I know who you follow, Mark. We know who you follow. Okay.
Have I told you I stopped liking things those people say because I didn't want people to know that I was following them anymore?
Oh boy.
Yeah, I didn't know that when you like something by somebody, it shows up on Twitter. So it's just like, you know, some girl with big tits is just like, oh, I wish I was on a picnic, and I'm like, yeah, like, you know, and then it's like Jesse Stark's just scrolling through his Twitter feed, and it's like, oh, Mark liked the fact
I get alerts.
I
get alerts, dude.
The big tit girl likes to go on picnics. It's like, why does he like that? Because I like big tits. That's why.
At a picnic, even. At a picnic, even.
Oh, a picnic basket full of tits. So if you want to debate, if you want to talk, you know, Twitter is one place you can find me. The YouTube page is another. It's all fine. And if you just want to lob insults, I won't respond, but knock yourself out. I'm really thick-skinned people. I don't care. However, if you lob insults at Jesse will just delete your comment and then stop comments.
Yeah, you don't exist to me anymore. I don't exist to you. That's the way it works. Somehow, where did things go?
Jesse will go into Twitter fucking protective custody.
Yeah. You won't find me anymore.
One nasty comment on YouTube and comments disabled.
This is not how I want to go down. No.
Yeah, Jesse's like Tony Schiavone. He's the blockinator.
Oh boy! Oh man! Swift with that block button.
Me, I don't give a fuck. All right. Speaking of,
I don't think I've ever blocked anybody. But go ahead.
No, but I have been snoozing a lot of people on Facebook. Oh my god!
That is a lovely, lovely little feature. Once you learn how to use it.
I'm about to go on an Epstein didn't commit suicide meme snooze. I'm very close. And the people doing it, I kind of like the stuff that they put on Facebook, so I'm really trying to hold back. But, like, you know, my wife's ex-boyfriend who called MMA cockfighting and complained about Trump showing up to 244, I'm like, snooze. I had a couple of, like, really, like, far-left people tweeting, putting on Facebook bizarre shit. I'm like, snooze.
Yep.
And I'm very close to snoozing the Epstein crowd.
That's a big crowd right now. Whoa, boy, is that crowd big.
Oh, my God. Who was the guy in Africa that we were supposed to get?
Who? And is the guy in Africa?
Yeah, remember when that was a thing on Facebook for 5 minutes?
Apparently not.
No, you don't remember this? This was big. This was like a huge
What were we getting him for? like we were supposed
some
to...
sort of like crazy dictator. That was like, you know...
We were going to capture him?
You don't remember this at all, huh? Go ahead, and I'm going to play the wreckage.
Okay, you do that.
Speaking of Twitter.
Speaking of this podcast.
Go ahead and Google, open a new page in Google, Facebook African leader meme, and it'll come up. It's like Justice for Kuzi or something like that. Jacoby and Myers.
Clue what you're talking about.
You'll know it when you see it. All right.
Bring it on.
Trust me. I'm humanity's last hope.
Justice for Kuzi.
Or something. I don't know. It probably wasn't Justice for Kuzi, but Facebook African leader meme. Get 'em. Just Google all that. All right, here we go. People listening to this are going like, "We know what that is, you asshole." But Jesse doesn't. All right, here we go. It's the wreckage. All right. Utterly missed my cue on that one.
So I'm still at a loss. I have nothing that's coming up that even looks remotely like I've actually seen it. Is it Leaky? L-E-K-E?
Maybe.
No, you have no idea. I have no idea. Nothing looks like this. Something that popped up on mine. You, sir, are going to have to go through your Facebook memes and like tag me in it or something because I have no clue.
Yeah, I'm looking.
No idea. Let me talk about.
I'm trying to. Yeah, go ahead and read the next article. I'm trying to figure out what the fuck this was.
Okay. So the wreckage, another song that reminds me of some old school As I Lay Dying. When I say old school, I mean like 7 years ago. So I guess their last album. I don't know if you can consider that old school or not. But it feels like they're using some elements.
It was Coney. K-O-N-Y.
From 2012?
Yes.
That's coming up in your Facebook now?
No.
Oh, okay. How long ago was that?
2012.
Fucking 7 years ago.
Slate 2016. Coney 2012 quickly became a punchline.
Wow.
That's what I was referring to, the Coney thing.
Yeah, I do not remember this at all. And there was apparently a movie, Coney 2012.
Yep.
4.3 out of 10 from IMDb.
Terrific.
Yeah,
all right,
spectacular.
You can continue. I'm sorry for derailing the podcast.
Oh, that's nothing new, sir. Nothing new. I really like the wreckage. Let me see. I'm trying to find. I have my lyrics up here, but I don't have them up here anymore. Where are they at? Here we go. Yeah. So I mean, again, it's As I Lay Dying. Talking about people trying to go through some hard times. I'll read something to you here. It says, we don't get to choose when it rains. We can fight or just get washed away. Will we be transformed or feel like we're drowning? Will we fight or just get washed away? So, yeah, next article. February 6, 2019, Memphis venue cancels As I Lay Dying show due to public outcry. So, obviously, these people had issue with Tim Lambesis' past. And, yeah, we're looking at Growlers. This is Growlers, Memphis, Tennessee. After hearing the combined voice of disheartened friends, local bands, and patrons, locally owned concert venue and bar Growlers has canceled their scheduled show with As I Lay Dying, previously set for April 5th, and will replace it with a local show to benefit victims of domestic violence. Are you still there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. is Tim supposed to go on stage every time and just say, hey, I'm sorry?
As I lay dying, the apology tour.
That is kind of like what this album is, to be honest. When you listen to some of these songs and review some of these lyrics, he's obviously upset, and he's very, very sorry for what he did.
I don't think it's necessary for him to go to every crowd. I think, again, I said this at the top of the podcast. He did his time. I think there's an argument to be had that maybe 6 years isn't long enough for attempted murder or soliciting a murder, but that's, again, justice systems change from one place to another. Some people, hey, look, some places in this country you only get probation for rape, so
yeah,
justice isn't perfect.
Okay, so he's done his time. We just set that aside. Okay, so he has served what was apparently the justice system's requirement. So the next thing that he has to do...
In whatever country this was, by the way. It wasn't in the United States.
What are you talking about?
Didn't he do this overseas?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't think so.
I thought it was. I thought he went to somewhere in Eastern Europe and did this, or am I thinking of somebody else?
Are you thinking of the lead singer for? Oh goodness, the guy that they thought tried to or accidentally killed somebody. What is his fucking name? Why can I? Lamb of God singer.
Yeah. Oh shit. I think I'm confusing
the two. Conflating. Yeah. You're conflating the two, Mark Radulich.
Computer. What state did Tim Lembesis serve prison time in?
They have no idea. She gives us a...
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
God damn it. Fucking useless thing.
I'm trading you in, you fucking computer. I don't even have the wiki in front of me, but we can find out for sure. But anyway, he serves this sentence. And not only that, this is why I think this guy and this band deserve another chance. And it's because they, like any other celebrity, could have just continued on, but they didn't. They are focusing on what happened, and they are telling you, hey, this is what happened. This is what we're going through. They're owning it. That's a rare breed of celebrity. That's a rare breed of any artist, really. They made a mistake, and Tim made a mistake, and they're saying, okay, he's saying, okay, I've done this, and this is what I'm going through. And this is how I feel. At no point is he trying to just go on without addressing it. And it's not only that, but the band has to come back together too. I guarantee you there's people in that band that felt very strongly as they did. But at some point you've got to, just like you said, forgive. You don't have to forget, but you can forgive what happened. And I think that's what's going on here. So yeah, they apparently canceled the show. You know what would have been great was if they could have just combined the two. And As I Lay Dying, bring in probably a large amount of fans. It was, I'm sure there's probably going to be a larger amount of fans than some local band that would have brought there. And Tim, he could have went out on stage. And I have a feeling just by what he has shown in this album, he would not have had a problem, giving a portion of those proceeds to domestic violence, and speaking out about domestic violence, and speaking about his, how sorry he was that he did what he did. So I don't know, man. There's not going to be a happy medium for everybody here. I think the artist has a right to do to make an album, to do a show. Growlers can say, well, maybe Growlers was the stupid one here. It's not really Tim's fault that Growlers said, hey, yeah, we're going to do a show with you guys. And then now, because of other people, they've decided that's Growler's fault. That's not Tim. That's not As I Lay Dying's fault that they got scheduled to go there. That is poor planning on the fan base, or by Growlers on the fan base there. So, yeah. Anyway, let's move on, man. What do we got next?
He was sentenced in California, by the way.
I got it. Okay, California. Thank you for finding that.
Yep. In a California prison. Well, that could be any California prison.
I have another one here. Nope, this is Growlers in Memphis. Never mind. Same article, different. Or same situation, different art or different website. Boy, I'm losing words, Mark.
Well, then let's get going here. This next one is called My Own Grave. That was very kill-switch engagey of them.
I like that one. You know, nothing makes me more proud than when I was playing this song and 5-year-old Colton started singing it. So if there's any song on here that's an earworm, it's probably this one. Buried alive inside of my own grave. Man, listen to this, okay? Listen to this. I thought I was an architect, but I was just moving dirt, stacking mud over malice, covered up, forming nothing but a pile of hurt.
He evokes a certain kind of imagery there.
Yes, sir. That's. I mean, a lot of what this song is about is just how mixed up he was, and emotions had. He was. I think there's a lot of ego. At least prior to the prison sentence, there was a lot of ego that Tim carried, and he had to really set that aside. And you look at the actions of this man after coming out of prison and some of the stuff that he said, you can tell it's done its job. It's rehabilitated him.
I think that's the danger of when you are successful. There is the possibility that some people, and resilience is a thing, and it's very individualized. So it doesn't happen to everybody, obviously, but it can happen to some people. Start buying into their own bullshit.
Yep.
And they're surrounded by yes people and people willing to tolerate. Let's put it this way. You and I both know there's only so much the people around us are going to tolerate.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they tolerate a lot more if we were significantly wealthier.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And I'm not just talking about wives, and obviously this doesn't really relate to children because they got to deal with this no matter what. But at least until they're adults. But I mean, friends and family.
Mm-hmm.
We just as an example, I would command a whole other level of. I'm going to go with respect and obedience from some of the people that I podcast with, if I were paying them.
Oh, yeah.
there'd be no question then about needing people for boxing and bare knuckle fighting and all of that.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's a check involved.
Right.
I'll see you there.
Yeah, Winfrey has as much said so. He was like, "Well, if you pay me, I'll do whatever you want me to do." And I'm like, pay you." Just as another example, you look at how much wrestlers will put up with to work in the WWE because they make gobs of money.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're willing to put up with a lot of really piss poor behavior from management. How does that relate to Tim Lembesis? He may be one of these people who, again, with wealth and fame and success, it played a part of changing his behavior, his mentality, and the little bit that I read about this, that's kind of what happened, and it affected the people around him negatively. And he may have, and ultimately it's what may have led him to believe that he could get away with this stupid crime.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I'm sure things were not, obviously things couldn't have been in a good. Things were probably not going very good for him at all. Well, for him to get to that point where he's like, "Yeah, I want my wife killed." Gosh,
we had this conversation. We talked about polyamory, about how there are people who are just sometimes not really willing to put work into a relationship, that they'll invent a rationale to go be with other people when their relationships are not as fulfilling as they'd like them to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like there's a parallel here with somebody like Tim Lembesis, who had the means to act on impulsivity and frustration and anger and a lack of fulfillment in his relationships, instead of actually trying to work on it. And it resulted in a very poor decision.
Yeah, absolutely.
But by the same token, so then he goes to prison. He falls from grace very publicly, very embarrassingly, and he goes to prison. And he's like, "Oh boy, if there's anything that's going to ground me, and make me realize that I am not who I thought I was, after having success with this metalcore band." It's, having gone to prison, which I think is why I'm very forgiving. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like, it's like if you're willing to kind of say, "You know what? Sorry," as Dennis Leary would say, "I fucked up,"
mm-hmm.
and be like, "Hey, I kind of got away from myself for a while, but prison put my head back on my shoulders where it should be, and I'm willing to move forward." Then I say, let's move forward with him. And maybe some people won't see it that way, but that's really where I'm coming from with this.
Did you know that As I Lay Dying was, considered a Christian band at one point?
Not a clue what you're talking about.
As far as Christian bands go, As I Lay Dying is pretty intense.
Okay.
This is from Vice.com. The Vice.com article that I'm reading. Did Tim Lembesis As I Lay Dying go crazy on steroids?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So did you hear that at the time when he was arrested that he was on steroids?
I just read a little bit about that. And again, the myth of steroids, making people like crazy is largely that, just a myth. There are instances where people became like manic and impulsive, but again, it's generally not the drug that directly causes it so much as the drug causes something that was already there to blossom. So
Lembesis' defense attorney says in a bail hearing during boy, I can't even read, Mark. In a bail hearing days after Lembesis' arrest, Warwick reportedly said that Lembesis had suffered brain damage.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
after repeated steroids use, as he gained 50 pounds and a lot of muscle. He experienced changes in his psychological and mental status. He was irritable and lost. He was not the same person. A psychiatrist said Lambessis had flown into roid rage. And, yeah, he was very caring. He was a very caring and gentle man before taking steroids, and we need to get him back.
If you have enough money, you can pay an expert to say just about anything.
Yeah. I mean, especially if it's your defense attorney.
But your defense attorney has to get witnesses, and that's what I'm saying. Like,
okay.
What a defense attorney does in a lot of cases is they go and find witnesses that will swear under oath to evidence to support a theory. So if the theory is he didn't mean to try to kill his wife, it's the drugs' fault, then he's got to find a litany of people to say, yeah, it's the drugs. Mm-hmm. Which is fucking horseshit.
Oh, man. Well, anyway. So
I don't like the drugs, but the drugs like Tim. Get the fuck out of here.
Hey, I got a suggestion since we're getting late here. You want to do medley 2 and then medley 2?
I'll just medley all 4 of them and be done with this.
Well, whatever you want to do, buddy.
All right, here we go. Take what's left, redefine only after we've fallen, and the toll it takes. Here we go.
I took what you get. Destroyed it all. I had to lose everything to know that I was wrong. And now I see what was true all along. Avoiding me. Now that everything is gone. Or let go as I'm trying to sustain.
All right, I really enjoyed this album. There's really not a bad track on here. I'm glad we talked about it. There's some albums that really bring a good conversation out of you and I. I think the conversation was actually more interesting though than the album.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean the album is very heavy and very cool. It's one of the better ones I think we've listened to, but it's not particularly dynamic in terms of difference from song to song.
Your opinion is shared by a few other reviewers that I've read, where it's...
I really thought you were like, your opinion is crap.
No. They said As I Lay Dying has come back, and they have laid out an album, but it doesn't feel like it's something that has, I don't know, evolved the band in any way. The problem is, and the problem I have with that assertion is that, okay, look, let's just say that this is the, oh my goodness, the reboot of As I Lay Dying after, a horrible, horrible event occurred. The only thing that we need to expect from this band is to at least give us something that is faithful to what we had 7 years ago. Okay? And we got that. I think experimentation can be talked about in the next album, but I am not going to expect them to do anything way further. I would have hate to have seen them come back and change their sound in some way. I didn't get any of that when I listened to this album. As I Lay Dying came back, dropped an album. The songs, each and every single one of these songs feels like it means something. It has emotion to it. It has depth. And it is very, it's very much a magnifying glass on the roller coaster that this band has gone through and the lead singer has gone through. And I don't want people to just write us off as apologists. I want you to look at the album and I want you to make your own decision, but I want you to understand that it takes a lot of guts for somebody who has done something that despicable and to come forward and say, I'm sorry, and I'm going to go back to what I know. The last song that we listened to, which was The Toll It Takes, is I remember hearing it first, and the chorus was just, it grabbed me, and it really made me realize what Tim was trying to do with the album and with bringing the band back together. And I think it's very much a statement of his love to fans. All right, so I'm going to read you the chorus here. It says, I know the toll it takes, but I won't let you go. The past I can't replace is all that you'll ever know. There is no turning back. I can't fix what I broke. The past I can't replace is all that you'll ever know. And he's right. He is acknowledging exactly what every person who's listening to this band and knows what he's done is going to be thinking. And he can't fix it. He cannot do anything to fix what he's done. He could go to jail for another 5 years, and it's not going to fix what he's done. How do we move on from that? And this is their moving on, and that needs to be respected.
Well, so. Just to further that point, I think there comes a point where you can't be worried about what everyone else is going to think. There are 300 billion people on this planet. Some of them are going to think you're a bag of dicks.
Not going to get past it.
Right. They're never going to forgive you. They're always going to think you're terrible, you're a villain, and fuck them. Just move. You gotta. At some point, and it's like if we're not going to forgive as a society, why don't we just kill these people? Because what is the point of going on? By the same token, if you can't live with yourself and move on from your past mistakes, like I have a tremendous amount of guilt for things that I've done in my life, but if I can't function and move forward in my life, then why am I bothering?
Mm-hmm. That whole Growlers article that I read,
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you, Tim probably was like, this is expected.
Right.
I'm sure he was a little upset, but this is something that he is probably expected to be a reaction to what has happened.
Right.
And just from what we've seen, he understands.
Yeah, and the others. I think for him, as long as the people closest to him, his band members, children that he has, are good with him and feel like they can, work their way towards trusting and just trust him again, then everybody else can just, whatever. And the other side of that is that Tim can go to his house with the lazy river and the volcano in the backyard. And shout out to you, Guy. And look, he can separate himself if he needs to, if he wants to, if it's getting just too ugly out there for him.
Yeah.
It's the sort of the nice thing about being a celebrity rock star musician.
Yeah. I do want to say that this is absolutely going to make top 5 this year for me, and it may very well be my number 1 album. As unexperimental as people think it is, I think every single one of these tracks stands out, and it might be because I'm so invested in the real life story that's surrounding this whole album. But I think every single song is heavy as shit. Every single song has got something to say, and it's going to be up there. I know at the end of the year that I've listened to this album at least probably double what I've listened to other albums. So, Rumahoy not,
damn
not
it.
counted. I know where you're going because next week it's going to be a contender, sir. It's a contender.
Listen, this album significantly lacks poop deck parties.
Yo ho ho! This is MC Chris. No, wait, it's Captain Chris. My bad. Oh man, I cannot wait to talk about that one either. Man. These 2 weeks. Oh,
I am Captain Yarface.
Oh my gosh, the whole fucking song about him and his origin story is the greatest fucking thing I've ever heard.
Yes, was it a shark bit off his face?
A shark bit his face off. He wore a mask. He didn't have a crew, but he put a band together, and holy shit. I don't even want to give. I don't want to give any more away. You got to tune in next week when we talk Rumahoy.
1 and 1A.
Steel
Panther.
I don't know if I'll go with Steel Panther.
Steel Panther and
1A.
Rumahoy.
Yeah, I wondered. I seriously wondered. I was like, Rumahoy, it could possibly knock that Steel Panther out. It has to. It has to have a chance. So I can't wait to talk about it next week and see where it actually lands.
That's going to be a lot of fun. Okay. There's something I was going to add to what you were talking about, but
No, Rumahoy done took that shit away.
I've drank too much rum.
Now let's get the hell out of here. My crew's been abducted by mummies.
Oh, Poop Deck Party. That's my son's favorite song off of that one.
Is it really? Colton really likes Treasure Gun. Colton will sing Treasure Gun all day long.
Yeah, you'll have to explain why you're making a big deal about that song when we talk about it. Because I got what it was about, but I was like, I don't know what's so special about it.
Oh, it's fucking special. That's special.
Okay, you can tell me all about it next week. But yeah, Poop Deck Party. Oh my god, I've never laughed so hard than him jumping on top of my wife yelling "Poop Deck Party." So good.
Poo over here and poo over there. Pirate poo everywhere.
Now let's clean this fucking shit up.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, buddy. All right. That brings our review of As I Lay Dying, Shaped by Fire to a close. As we said, we've got Rumahoy, Time to Party next week. The week after that is Dragon Force, Extreme Power Metal, and then the Wu-Tang Clan on Homecoming
Ain't nothing
Eve.
to fuck with.
That's right. Cash rules everything around me. Boom, get the money. Cream, get the money. I don't know why I said boom.
Boom shakalaka laka boom.
We are going to be doing it on trial. We're going to do it on Veterans Day, which means that the following week it'll just be The Boys Volume 1, Name of the Game, with Jesse and Gavin. I have half an episode left, and then I'm done with that series, by the way.
Oh, what'd you think so far?
I like it. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I like it. That's good.
I especially like the episode that I watched where the girl's shoving her hands into the Deep's gills.
Take that, you fucking rapist.
Good stuff. Anyway, so we've got Blackest Night in the archive, Zombieland 2, Lords of Chaos. We've got commentaries for UFC 244, Masvidal versus Diaz, and Canelo versus Kovalev. Hey, guess who won the Canelo-Kovalev, Jesse?
I have no idea.
Canelo by knockout.
Knockout. Oh, man, was it savage?
Yeah, it was all right.
Yeah, okay.
Myself, Chris Bailey, and Chris Sheehan, whose name I fucking forgot because I had a total brain fart, reviewed Crown Jewel, and what an event it was. If you enjoy the Radulich and Broadcasting Network when we are just full bore, no edit, just shooting from the hip, you're gonna love our Crown Jewel episode.
It was fun.
We reviewed Terminator: The Burning Earth. See everything I just said about Crown Jewel. Myself and Robert Winfrey reviewed Terminator: Dark Feminism. Go ahead, check that out. No boxing, no coverage this weekend because everybody I know is a bunch of assholes. However, myself and Chris Bailey will be reviewing AEW Full Gear on November 10th. How do you like that, Jesse?
Okay, I like it. Full Gear.
Full Gear. I'm done talking now.
Hey, Mark Radulich is ready to go. Night, so am I. Ladies and gentlemen, go give the Radulich in Broadcasting Network Facebook page a like to stay up on top of all the great podcasts that we have to offer. We talk TV, we talk wrestling, we talk comics. Man, we have all sorts of fun stuff there. The Unspoken Issues podcast, that dropped last week. It was Halloween, and we talked about Lord Pumpkin, #0. Very strange Malibu universe, Ultraverse comic book. And we have our upcoming issue, which will be Supreme, number 42, I believe. So if you like 90s comics, Unspoken Issues is where it's at. Ladies and gentlemen, we also have a Patreon. You can become a patron for as low as $1 per month, and you can get access to all sorts of great content. We have commentaries. We have a lot of stuff there for the oh my goodness. Hey, Jesse, do you remember the name of your podcast? No? How about, why don't you go with source material? All sorts of fun stuff there on the Patreon, including source material, extra bonus stuff for some of the issues that we're covering. Last one was Terminator issue #1 from Now Comics 1988. And you can listen to me talk about a Terminator baby that gets shot. It's some of the most goofiest shit I've ever seen. But anyway, it happened. All right, Mark, let's get the hell out of here. Take us home.
All right. Check us out on iTunes, Podcast Addict, Spotify, YouTube. If you listen to us on iTunes, go ahead and give us a review. I used to jokingly say give us a 1-star review, just seeing if we could provoke anyone to actually do it. I don't really care how many stars you give us, just give us a review. Tell us what you think. Write a little blurb. You know, again, these guys are a bunch of fuckwits. These guys are awesome. These guys can't stay on topic. These guys are squirrels with ADHD. Whatever you want to write, it's fine. It's all good. Just take a minute and leave us a review on iTunes and throw some stars. A star, 5 stars, whatever you want. I don't really care. But goddamn it, leave something. You can check me out at Mark Radulich on Twitter, where I've been begging someone to cover the Inoue Donaire fight tomorrow, depending on when you're listening to this, Thursday morning. But no takers, Jesse. Nobody loves me.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I feel invisible. I wish I was a big-titted girl.
How many fucking podcasts do you do? Maybe you just should relish the fact that you might have a day off.
I wish I was a girl with big tits who sold nudes.
Oh, well,
Because
okay.
it's the only way to get any attention on Twitter.
I'll follow you, sir.
All right. We're out of here. Be well, be safe, and behave.